I've been kind of looking forward to this. Not that much. I actually figured by doing this I was going to get a little closer to even with my Portuguese friend, R.A. Silvia. Because the guy's been helping me out since I worked for the Hartford Times, I think. But then I realized I could live to be 100 and not even come close to ever being even. And I believe that's true of everybody in this room. That's true of everybody that has anything to do with New England auto racing. We honor R.A. today as a historian and a collector. A one-time cadet division driver at Seacock. He's been collecting since the early 70s and now has close to 100,000 images. It's hard to conceive. Anyway. And he's got thousands upon thousands, programs and trade papers, posters, flyers, trophies, record books, scrapbooks, whatever. But what has always made this proud Army veteran, this proud father, and this proud grandfather, what makes him special is his willingness to share that. Share that with anybody. And I can personally testify to that. Look at the Hall of Fame. Look at these plaques. We've now done well over 100 of them, and I'm here to tell you there's not a dozen that R.A. hasn't had a role in, that R.A. hasn't supplied information for or photographs for. And incidentally, that includes his own. We had to ask him for information to do his own. Now, when you talk to him, you got to put up with a lot of pride of his being a Rhode Islander. He can't, whatever you ask, you're going to ask a question about Catamount, he's going to tell you that the first oval track race was in Rhode Island, but when you ask him, R.A. is going to get you an answer or try very hard to do so. He estimates he gets about a dozen inquiries a week. Stuff like, my daddy raced at Norwood in 1951. Do you have any information on him? That kind of stuff. He does that. He goes out and does that. And I think that's a little conservative figure, because a lot of competitors that I know, fans, promoters, obviously media guys, R.A. just continues to help. He saw his first race at Ponta Delgada Speedway in 1945, and I'm sure there's some historical significance to that. He'll tell us, I'm sure. This guy's been a commentator, a writer, and he's presently a principal at Pro9 Motorsports Museum in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Again, all of this stuff, I can give you facts and figures. What makes this man so special is his willingness to help you, to go out and find the answers for you. This sport would be less than it is if R.A. hadn't come along. This Hall of Fame, I think, would be damn near impossible if R.A. Silvia hadn't been out there helping us seek the records we want. And as far as me getting even with R.A., not in a million years is that going to happen. Get up here, boy.
Thanks for that glowing tribute, I guess. Peter is correct, though. The first oval track race ever was in Rhode Island, 1896. But I'd like to start by thanking NEAR for being in existence for 33 years. And 15 years ago, 14 or 15 years ago, and started with this Hall of Fame deal, and it's a good thing. It's kind of when you leave here today, you have a feel-good aura about you all the way around. And also like to kind of thank the Sellers family. I see the majority of them have left already, but they put in a good period of time keeping the club afloat and managed and all. And things don't always run smooth. We keep going through it, as you can tell. We're still here. I guess I got to thank my father for starting all this. When I was just turned 5, he told me one Sunday morning right after dinner we're going to take a walk. And that walk was about 3 city blocks from where we lived, and it was the site of the Ponta Delgada Speedway, which is an old soccer field. They put a 5th mile in around the outside before the war. I just came around in 1940, so I didn't know what was going on yet. But we walked down there, and I went in there, and I said, oh, wow, look at this. These little cars, they're pretty, they're fast, they're loud, they're noisy, they smell great. I said, this is for me. And to the point when they started up the following spring in 46, I got in severe trouble in grammar school in arithmetic class. Instead of doing the addition and subtraction puzzles, I was drawing midgets and coloring them the right colors with my crayons. Till the teacher spotted it and confiscated them. And I tell you, I'd give you any amount of money today if I could find those. Tiverton didn't even have a landfill then, so I can't go digging. But my father and I, we got going around to different racetracks, and actually, D. Costello, the only race that my father's car ever won at West Peabody, and he drove for my father there. They kind of met there, and we're from the same area, so Deke took it around and got him a win, and we were kind of happy that night. And that was it for that. And but I always felt, as I got into my teens, that getting interested in the history of racing and the people that kind of, well, you know, we're from Rhode Island, a small state. We kind of feel picked upon, and I find little tidbits about that first race in 1896, and generally it wasn't known to the racing public, or never mind the general public, and I felt we got the short shrift. And I didn't take too much action on it. It was the 50s, rock and roll was in, I got my license, you know, music, cars, girls, having fun. Ended up going in the Army when I was 17 and got out, got married, and built a race car somewhere together, and I have a lovely daughter, and she's over here with us today. And I told her I was going into this induction ceremony, and ironically it was on her birthday. She made me promise I wouldn't mention it, so I'm not going to. Told you I'd get you. So I drove for a couple of years at Seacock, and another thing that stuck in my mind, in 55 I had a subscription to Illustrated Speedway News, and there was a story in Speed Age magazine about the history of AAA champ car racing, which became Indy cars as we know them today, by Russ Catlin, a famous writer. And I was reading through there, and I found out in 1915 there was an Indianapolis car race in Providence on a mile track. And where we lived, I could look over the bay and see Providence. I said, wow, the Indy cars were here like a few years ago. And nobody seemed to know it. It was there in the racing. But eventually I got around to checking that out. And Nick Tito goes over there and makes a little pilgrimage every once in a while. And I decided after I stopped racing, I started writing for Cavalcade of Auto Racing and several other magazines. I could use that as some history, and I had been saving everything I ever bought. And I wrote historical articles utilizing pictures I had. And that went on, and NEAR came into existence, and I kept collecting and kept going. And actually, pretty much everybody in here has kind of helped me one way or another. I borrowed a lot of scrapbooks, Bugsy's helped us out, and a lot of the other drivers. And most of all, you people are my heroes, because without you doing what you did, who knows what I'd be looking at or interested in. And Rick Mariscal came along and bought the building for the Pro 9 Museum, and we moved all our stuff there together. And if you haven't been there, you should be ashamed of yourself, because it's anybody that's been there will tell you it's pretty good. And I'd like to thank you all for that, and I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee and all the people that voted on it. I'm just grateful to be in it. I probably feel somewhat unworthy. I don't know, because it's not a task to me what I do, it's just something I want to do. But most of all, I gotta thank my lady friend Pauline for allowing me to drive her out of her house with many years of collecting. When Rick got the museum, take a bow. Thank you. That'll keep me good for another year anyhow. When Rick got the museum, I moved about 18,000 square feet of sheet metal I had out of there. I said, oh, got golden for now, but stuff came in from somewhere and we're full up again.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry about it. Keep it coming.
Amen.
And I guess that's about it. And I thank you all for having me here, and we'll keep on going.